Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show this week. Happy holidays. I hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday season so far. The 2025 year is quickly wrapping up, and before you know it, we'll be in 2026 and we'll be staring down the barrel of the 2026 season. It'll be here like that. But we have a very fun conversation with one of the most energetic men in all of arena football. It is Coach J.R. Wells from the Washington Wolfpack. We talk about his personal journey through football, what led him to arena football the past couple of years over in Everett, Washington with the Wolfpack, and what they're excited about in 2026 and beyond in the AF1. So very fun combo. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. And we'll also dive into some AF1 and IFL news as well. And before we dive into any of that, if you've been here before, you know what time it is. It's time for the social plugs. That's right. If you don't already, please make sure you're following us at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. All the links are in the description below. So if you're watching on YouTube, scroll down just a little bit, maybe like 2 inches, maybe on your phone, and it's right there. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, scroll down or go to the. Actually, no, it's in the description of the podcast episode itself. Give us a follow on there. Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. Go check us out on there. And as I said, if you're watching on YouTube, hello, I'm waving to you. Thanks for being here as my arm hits the desk and shakes the whole setup. Please make sure you're liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with a friend as well. We got all sorts of neat content on the YouTube page, including this past week. We did a very fun new thing that we were experimenting with. It was called the Arena Football Antiques Home Show with our friends over from the AF1 Fan Zone and the World of Football, just kind of going through some old arena football memorabilia and kind of digging into the archives of what Adam, Randy, and Scott had in their bags. And we found some really cool things and we shared some really great stories. Lots of great marketing opportunities for teams and leagues from past iterations of teams and leagues in the 90s and 2000s. And we got really inspired with some things. I joked about writing some ideas in a notebook, which is right here next to me. And some of them could play in 2026. So go check that out if you haven't already. And like I said, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Leave a comment of what types of live streams you want to see in the future. Do you want to see more turf tapes? Do you want to see more of the game time? You know, the Xbox arena football. Do you want to see more of the Antiques Home Show? Let me know what you want, and we can make it happen. And we'll line up some more guests in the future. It was really fun to chop it up with them. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you are going to the show page, rating the show 5 stars preferably. But hey, do your thing. I trust your judgment. Liking the show, sharing it with a friend as well. All that. Offthewallfb.com. We got t-shirts for sale. Probably going to be coming up with some new merch ideas here soon. So if there's something that you want merch-wise, let me know as well. My DMs are open. My comments are open. Flood me. Let me know what you want. Let me know what you think. And also royalretros.com. Probably a little too late to get your stuff in time for Christmas at this point, but use the link below in the description as well as code Off the Wall for 10% off your purchase. And maybe you'll get it in time for New Year's Eve, head into 2026 with some fresh new apparel from some of those old defunct leagues that are featured on Royal Retros. So again, click the link, code Off the Wall for 10% off. That's enough of that. I'm going to stop talking now. Let's dive into the interview with Coach J.R. Wells. All right, on the show this week, we have the head coach of one of the founding members of the AF1. He is a spark plug for the city of Everett, and he will be entering his 3rd year at the helm of the Washington Wolfpack. His name is J.R. Wells. Coach, thank you for taking the time to hop on the show. How are things going up in Washington State?
Yeah, baby, let's go. Oh, you already know what time it is, man. It's going down.
There it is.
You're number 3, man. Beyond blessed to be here. You know, I'm sure there's some that are like, man, why is he still here? But you guys are going to find out real soon why I'm still here and why this program's still rocking and rolling for sure.
Let's go. Love it. Well, there's lots of good things happening in Washington with the Wolfpack, but I want to get to know J.R. Wells, the football player, a little bit before we get into the coaching aspect. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your personal football journey and how you got involved with arena and indoor football.
Yeah, man, that's I appreciate you asking that question because that's basically the heartbeat of this program, right? Is the trials and tribulations, where you came from, your story per se. I went to Clover Park High School in Lakewood, Tacoma, Washington area. I graduated in 2001, kind of date my age kind of deal. One of the top receivers, but one of the worst receivers due to my grades. Ended up getting a Bill and Melinda Gates grant because our family was low key poor, just keeping it 100. And I got this grant that got me to Eastern Washington University. That was the Paul Wolf days. I went out there as a gray shirt, definitely feeling myself. Mom was raising me, so I thought I knew everything. I mean, I even told her, I'm like, I know. She's like, you need to know, plan B. I'm like, Mom, I got plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm going through it. I'm disrespectful. And God got me real quick. I found myself laying on the ground in one of my fraternity houses, dying. And my fraternity brother ended up stopping the blood from just spewing out of my hand. Actually, my hand was almost cut off. This is my left hand, was almost severed off. And so I'm laying here dying. The ambulance comes and gets me. I'm laying in the back of the ambulance and dying. Like literally, I'm dying right now.
Yeah.
And it's quiet, and I'll never forget just saying my name over and over and over and over and over. And he's like, bro, just be quiet. And I knew if I did, I was gonna die. You know what I'm saying? So I was just keeping myself up. Moving forward, I got to a point where they did surgery. They said my hand was supposed to be amputated. Then they said I was supposed to have a claw hand. But God, just guided me, hard work, drive, determination. I got my hand put back together. I went to the College of the Sescues. I ran a 4.28 on grass. I went back to Eastern Washington. Paul Wolf said I never played for him or the program because I disrespected it. And I was like, would you mind just guiding me, you know what I'm saying? And helping me, do what I know I can do kind of deal. And he was like, no. And I found a semi-pro team, which was the Spokane Nightmares. And we went against a team called the Eastside Hawks, which was Sam Adams' team, based out of Juanita in Seattle. And my boy, shout out to him, Larry Cash. We were just doing work against them, and they were a phenomenal team, just one of the best teams ever. And Sam connected with us, and we were going out to every game, playing on his team. They turned into the arena team, and I made the final cut. Coach Magic was like, if you run head first into a wall, shit, here's a contract. And sure enough, that was it. I played 7 years of arena ball from there, and that was my journey, man. It's been a long journey for sure.
Yeah, so let's touch on the run into the wall thing. Like how did that come about? So you're saying like final round of cuts, that was the deciding factor on making the team?
That was the deciding factor. Like, you do this, you're getting a contract. And I'll never forget, actually, in the arena, and this is what is so great, right? Because I'm the head coach in the arena that I started. I'll never forget, I was running a dig route, and our quarterback was like from Hawaii University or something. And I cooked the DBs chasing. The quarterback just kind of gives me a little teardrop. It's a dig route, and I'm going towards the wall, and he just nudged me. The DB just nudged me head first, boom, dropped. And I felt low key paralyzed, like my body went numb. And so my guys helped me up, and I took maybe 2 or 3 steps. I took my helmet off and threw up, and you hear the crowd, oh,
no.
But it was an experience. Playing in the arena game is life changing, man. Just being around, some of the greats, when Billings, the Outlaws, were just as dope could be dope. Their fan base was wild, reminding me of like the Oakland Raiders. Like, they spit on you. They're talking about your mom, and I mean, that's the arena game.
Yeah. Yeah, they're right on top of you. They're not afraid to let you know they're right on top of you either.
Yes.
Well, fast forward a handful of years, this opportunity with Washington comes about. How did this whole thing materialize, and how did you get involved?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that. It's crazy how, I tell the players all the time, you never know who's watching until something drastic happens. I became a real estate agent, and as I'm going through this process, one of my really good friends was like, "Yo, bro, could you come and check out our football team, which was the semi pro team that was around." And this guy that's asking me is my best friend, who was my previous quarterback in another semi pro team that I coached. The team that I coached, it was the Arlington Grizzlies. They were the worst team of the worst team, similar to what we're dealing with kind of now. And I turned that program into winning the championship, the division championship. We were beating the brakes off people. And so he goes to this team, a few years later and is like, yo, could you please come help us? We just suck. And I'm like, let me talk to the other half. And she was
Right.
like, absolutely not. You just got into real estate, bro. Like, go sell some houses. And I was like, all right, you got it. I'm just gonna go check out his practice kind of deal.
Right.
So I went out there, man, and it was just so sloppy, just from every aspect of sloppiness. And I am a true stickler for structure. And so I was like, are you sure I can't coach this team? Like, can I help them out a little bit? I'm not going to play. And she said, no. And so then I talked to the owner, Mike Thomas, and I was like, yo, I want to help you guys out. Could you shoot me like $100, bro, for gas? Something. It's more just for her. I'll do it
Right.
for
Yeah.
free. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was like, nah, we can't do that, whatever, whatnot. But there's a potential that something bigger could happen. We don't know, but honestly, I didn't care. I love football. I love coaching. I
Right.
love mentoring, and sure enough, the other half wasn't happy because I decided I'm going all in. I'm just going to coach this team. And so they
Yeah.
went from losing every single game. We went 8-2, became the number 5 team in the nation, made it to the second round of the playoffs, and had the number 1 offense in the league. And I found out real quick that one of the owners, who's an amazing person, his son was on our team. And he continued to go back and say, yo, this coach, and just kind of rave. And this isn't
Yeah.
on me. This is just what I love to do. I love coaching because coaching is mentoring, coaching is guiding, coaching is being in a position to be the coach I needed in my life. I
Right.
needed the Paul Wolf to be who I am right now. You know what I'm saying? There's guys out here that need a coach to say, I'm gonna hook you up with an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? But there's
Yeah.
guidelines to it. You know what I'm saying? And too many of these coaches I've noticed are more about, if you're not my guy, listen, you're not going to get this shot. Well, that guy right there could be the next guy going to the NFL. That could be
Mhm.
creating a legacy. That could be creating a foundation. That could be doing things that are bigger and better. So nonetheless, after we lost in the second round of the playoffs, I got a phone call. And was offered the position. And I was like, oh shit, was that because like we were winning all those games? And it was no. It was because the adverse situations that you faced, how you handled those things. Because as
Yeah.
coaches, that's what we deal with. We deal with adverse situations. Some pop off and lose their mind, and some are able to just say, hey, yo, right now this is a lesson. This is a learning curve. These are ways to get back and keep building.
Yeah. And
So we're here.
speaking on building, like the opportunity to build something from scratch, like you're able to do with Washington, that doesn't come around too often. And like, was that something where when it presented itself with the Wolfpack, you're like, all right, I could build this team, build this culture from scratch and make this something that the city could be proud of.
Bro, you just gave me goosebumps all over my body. Like that is the realest of all real.
Yeah.
And the program philosophy: humble, hungry, intense, and disciplined. Right?
Yeah.
Those 4 aspects is really what builds the culture here. Um, Being able to build something from the ground up is no easy feat at all. You
No,
know what I'm
no.
saying? The outside world is always looking like you guys suck, your record is trash, what's happening kind of deal.
Right.
But you don't understand what it's like coaching all alphas. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone feels like they're God's gift to earth. And when you have a program that's starting from the bottom, everyone feels like they got some say into it and what they should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing. And you look at a team like the Orlando Predators or even the Billings Outlaws or Salina, any of those teams that have been around since Jesus was here. You know what I'm saying? You're like, well, they already have their stuff situated, the structure on their training
Yeah.
or practice, the food and are they doing vouchers? What's the housing like? Like jumping into this movement wasn't just, hey, you're just jumping into a football team. You look at college, you jump into a program like it's already established. This is from ground roots area. And so now
Yeah.
that's all structure and foundational things.
Yeah, and it's something where it's definitely not easy. And the more you peel back, the more you dig into it, it's like, man, there's a lot more moving parts to this than I think the
Gosh.
common fan may even realize. And
Yeah.
that's something that goes into it where, like, look, it's not just getting together at the arena on Saturdays. There's a
No.
lot of things that go into it. So it's cool to see you guys figure things out on the fly and really establish a program. And a lot of these teams, they flame out after a year or two, but here you guys are entering year three. So it's something to really hang your hat on. And I know you guys are just getting started.
Man, that's the key right there. We're just getting started. It's almost like the sleeping bear coming out of hibernation or the sleeping
Right.
dragon. Like some of them have poked the bear way too many times and they didn't use the first philosophy, which is humble. Be humble, act like you've been there before, because our turn is coming and it's coming really fast. I always use the analogy of, as we're building this foundation, we're planting those seeds, but we're planting those seeds on rich soil, and we need some sunlight, we need some water. And what people don't realize is when you're growing something, if you sing to it, if you talk positive to it, if you give it those affirmations, it starts to grow just a little bit stronger and better. And so when
Yeah.
we break through the soil, it's almost like Jack and a beanstalk in what we got going on. But again, patience is the virtue. It's the turtle and the hare type deal. We
Yeah.
understand what's happening. We got people that trust in this build, in the movement, our community. They're behind us, and now it's our turn.
That's awesome to hear. Well, one of the things that people usually notice about the Wolfpack immediately when they see them on TV is those iconic helmets. Those things are just so sweet. Best in the league, best in arena football. You can make the case for. Tell
Absolutely.
us a little bit about those helmets, and isn't there
Yeah.
a unique background to how those came to be?
Yeah. Well, of course, it's we started from the bottom, right? You get to a
Right.
point
Yeah.
where it's just like, hey, you have an arena team. You need to get a field. You need to get dasher pads. You got to get the arena. You got to get all the things. You also got to
Right.
get a logo. And so we started thinking about what our name is off the top. And we did something really cool. And that's what is so empowering about our program and what we're building. It's all about the community. Hashtag one community. We literally took the top names that we had, and then we ran a TV ad for the community to choose through the papers, everyone. Just give you guys an opportunity to say, this is what we think our team name should be. And they voted
Right.
on it. And so they came up with the name. And then after we came up with the name, now we had to come up with the design. And so after we got the wolf pack, we were like, well, shoot, it's a wolf. So now we start going
Yeah.
through the whole wolf thing. And then I don't know if you can see, but one of our owners, other half, came up with the idea of putting the evergreen trees in the ears,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
so dope. Again, that just goes back into we're taking the detailed look into building a championship program. Yes, could we go in here and say, year number one, we're putting all our money into buying a team, and then you win
Right.
a championship and then you fold? Great. Now we have nothing to cheer for. You have
Yeah.
no
Right.
intimacy with our community and our program. Like for the Seahawks, it's like $300 for the nosebleed seats. Plus, you got to spend $100 to go park, and it's a super deep drive. Do you think I'm gonna be able to talk to the fans, get an autograph, take a picture, have these convos? And like in our program, you have a tailgate function that you get to meet and greet with the players before they get on the field. Like there's just
Right.
so many different things that this arena game and our program bring to the industry that's different than everybody else.
Yeah, and it's what makes the arena game unique, right? It's like the worst seat in the house in the arena game is arguably closer to the action than the best seat in the house at an outdoor game. So it's a unique
Yes.
circumstance.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that 2024 season is one that's going to live in infamy and one that certainly had some growing pains that first year. And
Yeah.
that was the first year that the team was around as well. So
Yeah.
talk to us about how the team weathered that storm and you found a way to make it to the finish line, but not just make it, but keep going and just, find a way to persevere.
Yeah, man, that's a really, really great question. And of course, glad you asked, because as an outsider, it's just like, oh my God, again, you guys are trash. And it's like the the sweat equity that went into making sure we made it through the finish line wasn't
Yeah.
easy. I'm talking about bloody knuckles. As a coach, it's tough to do your job when you're making sure as a collective unit that we make it through the finish line.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many games you win or lose if you fold. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
look
Yeah.
at, respect to the Predators, Orlando. They've been around forever. They're no longer here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's sad to the industry. And when we look at what we've done for year number one, from the ground up, it's just all the support with one another. Like, we trust each other inside of our ownership group, and believing in what we're building. And what we're building is community based. The X's and O's, yeah, that comes and goes. But what's legacy like? When you got a family of five that can hardly go to a movie theater, but now able to go to see a professional athlete who spends, every, Mondays and Wednesdays is what we do in our program, but they go
Mhm.
to the schools, to these low income schools, and they're with these kids. So now
Yeah.
they see them in the schools, they're reading to them, they're at their recesses, they're at their lunches, and now they get to watch them on the field. Like, being able to watch that and knowing that it's bigger than just the X's and O's. It's more for our community, our fans, and the state.
Yeah, and I think that community aspect is something that the whole Wolfpack organization has done a really great job with. While things haven't been ideal on the field the first couple seasons, it seems like that
Yes.
community has just been rallying around the team, and it's starting to
Yes.
get a really good foundation there.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you learned over the first couple of years about engaging with the community that you're going to hit on even harder going into 2026?
Yeah, and that's a good question, is knowing that they're behind us. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
and what they want right now is some wins. And I feel them, as part of this movement, as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator at that. I
right.
get
Yeah,
it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? And watch it, I always say it's not about what we say, watch what we do. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I mean, we had a really big game the year number one against Southwest Kansas. That
Mhm.
comeback win, I mean, it was head to head, over and over and over. And then we got that last play victory, bomb over top kind of deal. You look at year number two, the growth and the progressive, same record down the strip. But you look at, we went against Oregon and put up 40 something points right off the rip and was
Yeah.
suffocating them on defense kind of deal. That's just a reminder that we're only getting better. And for our community standpoint, the things that we're doing with our players to keep them involved with the community is what matters most. And that's what, the staff and I and
Yeah.
ownership are talking about all the time, is how can we give them a better and greater experience?
Right. Yeah. That experience is what brings people back, because you don't want people just coming to one game being like, oh, that was cool. No, you want them coming back for the next one and the nenext one, the next one after
Yeah.
that, and make it a recurring thing.
And that's a big thing, in saying that, yeah, we haven't had the best record and it hasn't looked well. But one thing that you have heard from the fans and the community is they had fun.
Right.
That is the biggest takeaway that we are super excited about, is they're having fun. Now when these wins come, because now it's not brand new. Look at our roster, look at what the recruiting process looks like. This is
Yeah.
year number 3. We're ready to make some noise.
100%. Yeah. Well, what have been some of the biggest learning curves for you as an offensive play caller in the arena game? You spoke on some of the success you had in the outdoor semi-pro circuit, but
Yeah.
what were some of the biggest learns that you had adjusting that to this arena game that is a lot more different X's and O's wise than I think people realize?
You're absolutely right, and that's a really good question. Number one is just any coach is going to tell you. Number one, you got to have a line to protect. As
Right.
simple
Yeah.
as that. We obviously has struggled uh, to the extent of, oh my God, when a quarterback gets the ball and he's just off the center mark, right off the rib. There is no
Yeah.
developing in plays. Nothing is really working, and you'll hear it all the time. We all run the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? It looks like there's stuff that's different. It's all the same, but some have more time than others. So that's number
Right.
one, is to make sure that you develop an offensive line and get them to protect for your quarterback. Secondly, don't go through 7 and 8 quarterbacks in one season.
That too.
That,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's another struggle. So then you're talking about timing, and timing is a really big deal in this. I mean, for receivers, you're getting open in a phone booth kind of deal. You got to have a
Yeah.
quarterback that understands the game, and that goes into veteran stuff. And then you also have to be mindful that it's a business. Too many of these coaches have, I think, saturated the game in a sense that they're paying some of these players way too much money. And so then when you let them go, now they're on the market like, well, if you're not paying me X amount of dollars, I'm not coming. Well, it's like, okay, if I pay you X amount of dollars, now this person can't get paid and this person can't get, and not to mention those
Yeah.
bills can't get paid. But players don't understand that. It's just more, give me my
Right.
money. I want to show up. I'll make sure I got a hotel or a house. I gotta have food. I gotta have these training facilities. I gotta have everything handed to me, and then I'll come. That's
Right.
great.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more to it than just the check at the on game day. There, like you said, the
Absolutely.
housing, the food. There's so much to it. But I think one of the things that makes the Pacific Northwest interesting with the AF1 is you have a regional rivalry with the Oregon Lightning. Tell
Mm.
me what it's been like growing with that Oregon franchise over these couple of years and being able to develop together and kind of help each other out.
Yeah, no, man, that's a great question. And I love Coach Jones. That's my guy. You know what I'm saying? I've
Yeah,
I've built a really great relationship. Obviously, when we're on the field, it's Pack versus them. And
right.
it's an exciting thing, man. And it's crazy because it's like, the statement is, oh, the Wolfpack can only beat Oregon, but Oregon is beating other teams. I'm
Yeah,
like, well, what is this? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And it's just one of those things that rivalry wise, it's fun. It's just like UW and Oregon. There's always that mix of, I just want to Bart Simpson choke you kind of deal. And it's been great. I think this year we're gonna do something kind of giving this away. We really want to create a rivalry that makes it almost like what the college does. Like there's this trophy that one team has to get to the other when they
yeah.
lose. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's not going to matter on our end. We're just going to keep it on our side from here on in.
Right. Yeah,
Coach
yeah,
Jones, that's to you, big dog. Come on, baby. Anytime, anywhere, baby.
yeah. I was about to say, is there an official name for the rivalry yet? Because it
I
seems it
want to
seems like
say
there
my
should be
guy
something in
JJ
place.
had something for it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've seen the Cascadia Clash. I've seen the Fight for I-5. I'm like, there's a bunch of good
Yeah.
names swirling out there. It seems
Yeah.
like we need an official one, and we need to just stamp it and be like, all right, this is what it is,
Let's
and
vote on it. Let's again.
brand it.
I
Yeah,
think we should give it to our, and that's how we always do. Give it to our community. We'll put something together and come up with something sweet so that they can be like, oh, we voted on that, and that's our name, and
yep.
love it.
Community engagement. Yeah, another way to do
Absolutely.
that. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question.
Give it to me.
What's the deal with the gloves? So sometimes the camera will pan to the sideline. You'll have the play call sheet, and sometimes you'll be rocking what appears to be wide receiver gloves.
Yes, I
What's
do.
the story behind that?
So I guess it doesn't effing matter. So as an offensive play caller, I
Yeah.
I ran air raid offense. So I always call with hand signals.
Okay.
And when I originated with it, I just did it with my hands. And so players on the other side couldn't see. And
Okay.
so I got to one of our colors for our team and they couldn't see it either. So then I went to the super bright pinks and they could
Okay.
see. So if you go back and you watch the Albany game, I don't know how much you can see of it, but I ran basically no huddle, and I have hand signals. I mean
Yeah.
it's going to be rolled out. You're going to get a lot of glove life this year,
Okay.
and
Let's go.
it's coming. It was tough, right? Because I wanted to
Right.
implement it, but number one, when you have no blocking scheme, it's like, well, shit. Come over here. Let's milk some of this clock. Let me tell you some of these plays. Let's get in the huddle. But I got to a point like when we went against Albany, I was like, I'm just gonna see if it works in this game, and
Right.
it does, and it will, and I'm excited to roll it out, and you guys will see. I will have my gloves on.
Let's
I'll still
go.
have a call sheet somewhere, but
Yeah.
no, we're going with hand signals.
Yeah, I remember seeing the gloves. I'm like, is it a feel for the game type of thing? Like he's getting in the
Stay
mindset, but
ready.
that
You ain't
makes
got to get
sense.
ready. Throw me the ball, Chief.
That's
I'm
right.
a wide receiver
That's
by
right.
trade. I go out there.
I know. I know. I was about to say, okay, coach is about to go in high man motion. All right.
You know what I'm saying? That's where I was at. OS, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, the quarterback position, you've touched on it, is
Yeah.
one that has been a bit of a roller coaster these
Yes.
past couple seasons. But you guys are bringing in a seasoned veteran in Vincent Espinosa to lead this offense into 2026. How excited are you to get Vincent in the mix up there in Everett?
It's how you phrased it, I'm not sure, but in saying that is we still got to go to camp. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We have three quarterbacks that are in there. And as the head coach, as the offensive coordinator, I think it's
Right.
fair that, everyone has a shot.
Of course.
Now the story behind Vincent, I think is more of an exciting piece because we played them. He was with Oregon year number one,
Mhm.
and he got in the game like at the very end and had maybe one or two series and was nasty, and they ended up winning, I think, on the last play or something. And I told him, I was like, bro, if at any moment you want to come on over here, you know what I'm saying, like, bro, you're nasty. I think if you would have been playing the whole time, it'd probably been a way worse game than what we ended up with, kind of deal. And
Yeah.
then last year, was the same thing. I've been trying to get that guy for a long time. Like that kid is special. He
Yeah.
is legit. You know what I'm saying? And to finally be able to bring him on board has been just beyond exciting. Not just because we have like you just said, a seasoned vet, in Vincent. We also have, iron sharpens iron. Gio
Right. Yeah.
is also a nasty vet in the game. He's been around the moon, a few times. And then of course, shout out to my guy Philip Rivers. I mean, my guy Adam Cruz. Much love to my guy. That guy is a dog. And I told all the
Yeah.
quarterbacks, like, I feel like he outworks everyone. You know what I'm saying? At our age, it's like, bro, how can you still do this? But again, to the simple fact that we have some great leaders inside of our QB room, and we know that it's going to be a competitive battle, and we're beyond excited to have something solid going into camp to be prepared for week number one.
For sure, yeah, and it's good to have multiple pieces there, like you said, the iron sharpens iron mentality. You don't want anyone getting complacent. You want everyone to compete in the preseason and training camp and all that too. So it sounds like it's going to be quite the competition at not just quarterback, but you've been bringing in a lot of skill position players from around the league and some pieces returning from last season. But what exactly is going to be like? How is it going to be different in 2026 for this Wolfpack team on offense? Because there were times you mentioned the Oregon game last year where I was like, they're turning the corner, they're doing it. And then other times it was like, they were just turning the corner. What happened? How is it going to be different next year?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. And without giving up too much
Of course.
of the things that are happening, the biggest thing, in all transparency is getting the right guys on the bus and the wrong guys off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like being in a position this year where we've been able to open up the door just a little bit more, and however we take that concept, to bring in the right pieces. I mean, when you look at the pieces that we're bringing in strategic pieces. And last year I feel like we had some really good players. It's again, you get to a point where as a coach you can only tolerate so much. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And um you know in fairness to myself, right, being new, I guess, back into the arena game from year one and year two, I've been able to build great relationships with a lot of agents and scouts and recruiters and other coaches that have resources that I didn't once have. And most importantly, we have resources to provide players. So, an example, year number one, you know, negotiating with these players coming in was coach, we need housing, we need food, we need training facility, and we need paper,
Yeah.
bread, money. And we're like, well, shit, we're year number one. Number two on that standpoint is we're the first, we're an expansion team. Ain't nobody running to the expansion program. Oh, he's a
Yeah.
semi-pro coach. And, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, sounds good. And so then year number two goes into a point where players talk. Players want to play with other players. And so now you're like, okay, well, we're starting to get some of these guys in, and now you're trying to filter prima donnas, you're trying to filter egos and
Yeah.
alphas, and people that feel like they're better than the team. And when you have a standard, you have to stand on that. And if you're losing,
Right.
it sucks because you got to stand on what that standard is, or you stand for nothing. And so we got to a point where the standard is the standard, the foundation is set, and now look at the pieces that we've brought in, and now just watch. That's the best we can give you is just watch.
Yeah, it's good to have the talent there, but the talent's got to be all pulling in the same direction, right? Like you can't have a tug of war in the locker room. It's like, no, we all got to be on the same side here. So yeah, it's
Yes.
not just finding the talent, but finding the mesh of personalities and all that. It's a
Yeah.
lot more complicated than people may realize.
Man. And of course, as in this situation, you don't talk about those things. You don't share
Right. Yeah.
those things. And that's why, in answering your questions, they got to be, covered.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, in 2026, what does success look like for the Wolfpack? Like, what does that next step look like in
Yeah.
this time next year when we're looking back on
Yeah.
the 2026 season? What will determine? All right, that was a successful campaign.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that one. Number one is, winning the first game at home. Whoever we
Yeah.
play, the schedule's going to be released real soon, tomorrow, or whenever they release the schedule,
Yeah.
is going 1-0 every week. That's the focus. And then of course for us, success is making to the playoffs, right? Everybody wants to
Yeah.
win the championship and
Of
do all
course.
those things. And of course, that's the mindset. But embracing the process, right? That's what we've been focusing on in building our Wolfpack organization is the process. You got to be able to get a field and boards and arenas and food and partnerships and all those things. You got to get a fan base, you got to get awareness, all those. Now you got to get players and you got to get code, you got to get all these things. And that's a process.
For
I
sure.
said it in a video, it's more about the becoming than the arrival. Like, oh, we arrived at the championship. No, it's what did we become during that journey to get us to game number one, to get us to the playoffs, to get us to that championship game. And following that process, we're seeing by like the turtle and the hare, we're being
Yeah.
slow and steady. We're focusing on the little things because the little things turn into the big things as the big things are everything.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm excited to see the next step for this Wolfpack team. It's one where I'm like, this team has what it takes. They've got everything in place now. So 2026
Yes.
has got to be the year that you take the next step. So I'm excited to
Bro,
see
I
it happen.
can't wait and watch these gloves.
Let's go. Watch the gloves. So this this has been really fun, Coach. I appreciate you hopping on here and chatting with me for a little bit. Before we get you out of here, any parting
Yeah.
words for Wolfpack fans or AF1 fans?
Yeah, first for obviously our community, Wolfpack fans. Number one, I appreciate you guys sticking behind us in this movement. I know it's been tough in the build. It's not something that we all want to look at when we look at uh, the standings that were, at the bottom of the barrel. But I can assure you this, standing on business as the head coach of this movement, I can assure you that 2026 will be a very, very interesting year for the Washington Wolfpack. And we are really excited about our recruiting, the players that we brought in, the fan bases that we built. We are so excited to give you something to cheer about. So make sure you get your tickets, get your season tickets. It's not just a one ticket you want to show up, get your season tickets because you're not going to want to miss any of this activity that we're going to be bringing to your front door. And then for the AF1 in itself, I just want to say, hey, we're grateful to be here. We're grateful to have all the teams that are around us, the new teams that have just partnered up with us. Shout out to to Jeff, Jerry, Gary, the crew that's running the show, man. Without them, bro, there would be no AF1. There would be no arena football. And this is a really, really, really special game. So to be mindful, about the things that you were saying about what's being built. It's not easy building any business. And for anybody that has built a business, be mindful. It takes 5 solid years to create a real business. Most businesses fall on year number 1, year number 2, year number 3, it could be. But as you see with our Wolfpack and with this AF1 together, we are building something special. And it's special for you guys. This is value pack entertainment that you guys get to watch in your back door. You get to bring your kids and get them to unplug from their phones and their tablets and the TV screen. And they get to see real professional athletes chase their dreams and do something that they've never done before, which is create a legacy. So support this AF1 movement because we have a lot of things coming for you and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's go. Love to hear it. Well, thanks again, Coach. Best of luck in 2026 and we'll stay in touch. All right.
Let's go. Turn me up.
Big thanks again to Coach Wells for joining the show and talking about the past couple of years in Washington, as well as his own personal journey through football. Really inspiring to see where he's come from and some of the obstacles he's overcome in his personal life to get to where he is today. And on the field, things haven't been great for the Washington Wolfpack. I think everyone's in agreement there. But off the field, it seems like they've been laying the foundation of something very special in Everett. And it's time for the on-the-field product to match what they've been able to accomplish off the field. So excited to see them take that next step in 2026. And with some of the players they got signed at the skill positions, this might be the year that they make some noise. And like Coach Wells said, making the playoffs. Making the playoffs is the goal, and they can go and grow from there. So Washington's going to be an interesting team to watch. Hopefully, like I said, they take the next step and they're able to get on the path and give the folks of Everett a team to be proud of on the field. We're going to dive right into the latest AF1 news. A day after we released last week's episode, the AF1 decided to release their entire season schedule, which was very cool. Thank you, AF1, for doing that the day after. But hey, that's fine. We got give us stuff to talk about this week instead of last week. So got some thoughts about the schedule. Not going to go in as much as some other shows have and really dissect it and really pick it apart because, quite frankly, it's year 2 of this league, and we know that there's still some growing pains that this league is going through, both on the field with the product as well as off the field with the ownership and everything. So it's going to take some time for it to get to where they want it to be. I think it can still accomplish what they're looking to accomplish. It's just going to take a little bit more time, and I think people need to have a little bit more patience than what they're currently giving it. But what I'm going to do is let me get my bearings here. I'm going to put the schedule graphic right here and put it right there and kind of talk through what I think and give some thoughts on it. So first thing that pops out to me when looking at this is that most teams have a balanced 6-6 schedule, 6 home, 6 away. But a couple teams snuck in a 7th home game. So Nashville has a 7th home game, which I think is fair considering that they were the team that really stepped up and filled some gaps last season in 2025. So they're kind of getting it paid forward a little bit in 2026 with an additional home game as hey, thanks for being flexible, Nashville, or Clarksville. I guess it's still Nashville, but they'll be playing in Clarksville. But this is a pretty balanced schedule across the board. Again, arena availability is the name of the game when you're talking about these teams, and they're really at the mercy of the dates that the arena has available. So I'd be very curious as to what this actual process of building the schedule look like. So maybe we can get someone from the AF1 on the show to kind of talk about the trials and tribulations of schedule building, because I'm sure it is a headache and a half to have to deal with. But I think one of the things that pops off the stage to me is looking at that very first row. Albany has an interesting schedule to start. They face the TAL champions, rebranded as the Minnesota Monsters, week 1, and then they face the NAL champions from 2025 in the Beaumont Renegades in week 2. So we get champion versus champion 2 weeks in a row to start the season. And towards the end of that season for Albany, I think it's a little convenient that they get 2 out of 3 weeks on a bye heading into the playoffs. We know Albany's going to be a playoff team, so I think it's convenient. A couple of years ago, there was some kicking and screaming about getting a bye week before the playoffs in 2024 in that infamous AFL season, and Last year they ended up getting one due to record and all that. So I think it's convenient that the schedule worked out for them the way that it did. Some other notes that kind of pop off the page to me: Minnesota. You look at the line for Minnesota, they don't get a home game until week 7. So Billings had this interesting situation that was very similar last year, where they were the reigning champs and they didn't get a home game for one reason or another until week 7. Again, probably comes down to arena availability and all that. But once Minnesota does get home, they have 2 home games on week 7 and week 8, a couple road games, and then they finish the last month and a half of the season at home. So it's going to be crucial for Minnesota to get off to a good start at the beginning of the year to make sure that, hey, we're at least 2-2, potentially 3-1, maybe 4-0. Who knows? Heading into that first home game and really build that excitement for the fans, because the teams that get a home game in week 1, week 2, week 3, they can kind of build off of that experience. But if Minnesota is going into their first home game 0-4, that can be a tough look for them. But the last thing that kind of jumps off the page for me here is Washington and Oregon. They play each other 4 times this season. So 15-week season, 3 byes. That's 12 games. 4 of those games, they're playing each other. And I've heard some people picking this apart on the forums and on some different shows. I personally love it. I want to see some rivalries develop. I want to see the regional teams really duke it out, and being able to see Washington and Oregon do so, hopefully in a more competitive manner. And when I say competitive, I believe they split the series last year. But I would just like to see the teams, like Washington won one of the games. They just absolutely blew the doors off of Oregon. Oregon blew the doors off of Washington. So I'd like to see all 4 of those games be a little bit more contested and see some more skillful, ethical arena football rather than, those I don't want to watch, but I can't look away type of games that take place at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday or Thursday. So hopefully those games are a little bit better this upcoming season between those 2 teams. But again, the regional rivalries are going to be what this league can build foundationally on. And it's something that truthfully I was hoping we would see with Kentucky and Nashville. But just looking at the schedule now, they play 1 time. Yeah, they're arguably, they might geographically, I'd have to check, but they might be a little bit closer than Everett and Redmond are for Washington and Oregon. And Kentucky and Nashville, they only play each other 1 time. It seems like a miss. It seems like something that they could really be leaning into heavily for that regional rivalry as well. And same thing with Michigan and Minnesota. Looking at now, how many times do they play? 1, 2. Oh, they play 3 times, so that's fair. But I think a team that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. Very, very interesting. I say interesting a lot all throughout these episodes, but this is going to be very interesting, is Oceanside. And the reason why I say it's going to be very interesting is because they're on the West Coast, right? I guess they were a part of this initiative to build out the West Coast, make travel easier for Washington, Oregon, create more regional West Coast rivalries. But then you look at the schedule, they play Washington once, they play Oregon once. And both of those games are at home. So all their travel is going across the country. They travel to Kentucky. They travel to Beaumont. They travel to Clarksville. They travel to Albany. They travel to Beaumont. They travel to Michigan. So they're going to be racking up the sky miles this upcoming season. And travel and logistics is usually what does first-year teams in. So hopefully Oceanside is building up what they need to be sustainable, not just for this year, but going forward. But yeah, it's going to be something that I personally am going to keep an eye on, because it's something that just jumps off the page and potentially is if there's going to be a problem child this year, I would guess that is the one, based on everything that we've seen so far. But yeah, the AF1 schedule is out. Let me know what you think of this AF1 schedule, anything beyond what we already touched on. But I think it's very important for people to realize this is still just year 2 of this league. I know they came out with a lot of vibrato over when they first came out. They are the premier league. They're the this, the that. It's a work in progress. And I think people need to realize that. And it's going to be something that, like I said at the beginning of this segment here, they can get to where they want to be, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take some patience. So enjoy the football that is played and see how they can continue to build off it beyond just 2026 and see how they can build off it. See if they can finish this season stronger than they started it and kind of build from there. But overall, pretty good schedule from AF1. And I think that the key here is finish with just as many teams, play all the games on the schedule, and then kind of go from there. We're going to shift over to the IFL now. Again, last week we talked about all the different sporting networks, Yahoo and FanDuel for all the streaming and all the implications of that. We're going to dive into some player signings from this past week on some of the teams here. Starting off, wide receiver Lowell Patron Jr. He was with the Blizzard the past couple seasons. He signs with the Jacksonville Sharks. So the Sharks offense is continuing to kind of reshape itself. They were really, really flat in 2024. In 2025, they were much, much better, but it seemed like they lived and died with the quarterback position, as most teams in the IFL do, where if the quarterback play was really, really good, they were incredible and they were an absolute wagon. When the quarterback play was bad, they just kind of sunk their own boat at times. So bringing a wide receiver like Lowell Patron on, it just helps this offense become a little bit more dynamic. They're, again, joining quarterback James Cahoon from Iowa, bringing in a couple folks from the Midwest, Cahoon, Patron. They re-signed Jimmy Robinson at running back. They re-signed Karan Ashley from last year, who Karan Ashley was like their big play wide receiver on like the deep ball for, again, when the passing attack was functioning. He was usually the guy that was in the mix there. And then Jimmy Robinson got hurt early in the season and couldn't really see his way back to the field. So if James Cahoon can pick up where he left off, maybe minimize some of the turnover-worthy plays at the quarterback position, utilize Jimmy Robinson for all the skills that he has with Lowell Patron and Karan Ashley at wide receiver, this offense is gonna be very, very good and very, very fun to watch. And then you include the fact that they traded for running back Jameis Williams from Tucson. Got a couple different running back options, got a plethora of wide receiver options as well. This offense is going to continue to grow. It's a fun-looking offense on paper, but it's going to have some adjustments from last year. Last year, the quarterback position was very run-oriented. James Cahoon is much more of a passing quarterback. He can run if he needs to, but he's one that likes to pick teams apart with his arm and does that RPO dual threat offense that Jacksonville ran last year. Does that apply for this year, or do we see them try to switch it up a little bit and be a little bit more, straight up handoff, dump it to the running back, a little bit more passing oriented to fit to James's skill set. Time will tell, but I like the signing of Lowell Patron for Jacksonville, and they're going to be a very good team yet again this upcoming season. But staying in the state of Florida, Pooka Williams at running back, he is re-signing with the Pirates. A lot of Pirates players are coming down to Orlando with the Pirates after last season in Lowell and Massachusetts, and Pooka Williams is one of those. And he was that lone bright spot at times on this Pirates offense that was just straight up underwhelming in 2025, to put it nicely. It all lives and breathes with the quarterback spot with Talia Tagovailoa, but having a running back like Pooka certainly helps make life a little bit easier. They've already announced T.O. coming back. Well, actually, Thomas Owens, T.O., and T.O. Redding coming back, and they're going to continue to load up that offense and go from there. But Pooka Williams, outstanding rookie season in the IFL last year. He'll be looking to build on that. And if there's anything we've learned about Rob Keefe offenses over the past couple of years on teams that he's coached, they love running the football. They love getting the running back involved in the game. And you look at what they were able to do with Justin Rankin a few years ago in Bay Area. Look at what they were able to do last year with Josh Tomas in Bay Area. And Rob Keefe is a bit of a traditionalist in terms of running the football and getting that running back involved. So I would expect to see a heavy dose of Pooka Williams early and often throughout the year. And if there is a fantasy IFL with the Yahoo deal, or if anything comes to fruition like that, Pooka Williams is an interesting name to keep an eye on if you're in that first round trying to find somebody to snag up. But yeah, I think it's a great re-signing for the Pirates, and we'll have to see how they continue to load up their roster from here. And the last thing I wanted to touch on was linebacker Cecil Cherry signing with the Barnstormers. So he's a veteran of the indoor game, played in the FCF, notably for the Arizona Rattlers of the IFL and the Orlando Predators of the AFL. Was signed with him for AF1 before things kind of fizzled, but he'll be heading to Des Moines to help anchor that defense in head coach Andre Coles' first year with the team. And it's badly needed. This Iowa defense was bad. Four bads. That's how bad it was in 2025. Just horrendous. We thought we saw a historically bad defense in San Antonio in 2024. Iowa said, "Hold my beer. I'll show you a historically bad defense," and they were just so bad last year. But getting Cecil Cherry in the mix to anchor down the defense in the middle is going to be very, very helpful for this Barnstormers team that's looking to reinvent itself after a rough couple of seasons as they kind of develop what they're going to look like on the offensive side of the ball, bring in some veterans on the defensive side of the ball to help anchor things down, and hopefully they'll have a new look, get a fresh coat of paint on that defense in Iowa, and we'll see what type of improvements they can make in 2026. Because I can assure you, the defense could not possibly be worse in 2026 than it was in 2025. And bringing in a vet like Cecil Cherry, that's a good start to try to turn things around for Iowa. There's not a lot to touch on with the NAL or TAL, so we'll keep it brief with them. But main thing I wanted to touch on with TAL is they still have the Name the Team contest for Memphis, Monroe, and Grand Island live. So MemphisArenaFootball.com, MonroeArenaFootball.com, and then Grand Island ArenaFootball.com. If you have name ideas for teams, go get them submitted. They're still taking name suggestions for all of them, and I'm sure as the new year gets here, they'll be starting to make some announcements, starting to make some branding decisions and all that. So go let your voice be heard. See if they end up picking your name, and it'll be fun to see the suggestions that get submitted. I'll have to reach out to TAL leadership, see after it's all said and done if we can get a list of all the suggestions that were submitted. I think that'd be fun. But yeah, a lot of cool things happening. A lot of cool things have been announced amongst all the leagues so far this offseason. I think the three teams for TAL getting their branding, colors, jerseys, all that stuff announced is I think the next thing that the general public is probably waiting on in the arena football world. So stay tuned. We'll have to see when that drops. And that's the show. Thank you so much again to Coach J.R. Wells for joining the program this week and talking shop about his journey, talking shop about the Washington Wolfpack and everything that they got going on. Going to be an exciting 2026 in Washington, and hopefully they'll be able to take that next step. Again, make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Off the Wall FB, X/Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. Go follow us, come engage with us, come join the conversation. Love chopping it up with people. If you're watching it on YouTube, please make sure you're liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, commenting. Like I said in the beginning, let me know what types of streams, let me know what types of guests you want, like who do you want to see on the show. I'm all ears. I'm reaching out and constantly trying to get new types of people on the show. But if there's anybody in particular that you would like, please let me know, and we can try to make it happen. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you for doing that as well. Please make sure you're liking the episode, rating the show 5 stars preferably, and then sharing it with a friend as well. OffTheWallFB.com. We got the blog on there. I'm going to get these blogging fingers are going to get warmed up here. I don't know if the mic is picking that up, but these are my blogging fingers getting nice and warmed up. So we'll fire up the blog again as we approach 2026, as well as the Off the Wall t-shirts. So definitely not going to get there in time for Christmas if that's what you're thinking, but still plenty of time for you to buy some shirts if that's what you're into. Help keep the lights on here and be able to create some interesting opportunities for some new content in the future, as well as royalretros.com. Again, use the code in the link description, or use the link in description below with the code Off the Wall for 10% off your purchase, and let me know what you end up getting. But yeah, only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend about an hour here listening to the show, listening to my chat with Coach J.R. Wells means a lot. So really appreciate y'all taking the time to do so. Yeah, looking forward to engaging with everybody on socials. Hope everyone has a happy holiday season. Next Thursday is Christmas Day, so we'll delay the release of a new episode until after Christmas. Hope everyone has the opportunity to spend time with the folks that are important to them, no matter who they are. And yeah, we'll see you on socials, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.